We have them openly siding with the State Department, doubling the amount of refugees that are coming in outside of the president's order. They're in open sedition. The Ninth Circuit that ruled that American flags can be banned in California schools has now come out and ruled against clear law that the president can engage in. In fact, the president's been very restrained, quite frankly. This is just unbelievable to see the mainstream media, the globalists, the communist Chinese, Hollywood calling for insurrection, Katy Perry calling for riots, major publications daily calling for the president to be killed. What would you call this moment we're at right now?
This is the political schism that we're seeing. We just haven't witnessed the Fort Sumter moment yet, which I think could come at any time. But the judges are clearly in open rebellion against the Constitution. There's nowhere in my Constitution does it say that a couple of left-wing federal judges supersede the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, on immigration. They didn't even reference the law in their decision.
That's right. A 5-year-old could tell the law. They have no purview in this area. Aren't they declaring themselves? I said this last night. Stephen Bannon said it today in Breitbart. These 3 judges are declaring themselves the Commander-in-Chief.
Yeah, why at this point, why couldn't they just, demand that an aircraft carrier turn around and go from country A to country B? I mean, they're declaring themselves to be, the superior part of the Constitution. And in the Constitution, Article 1 deals with the Congress for like 3 or 4 pages in my little booklet. Then there's, like 2.5 pages on the president. Then it's about 1 page on the judiciary. And it even says that Congress gives the cases to the judiciary that it wants to give to the judiciary.
And can override them.
And can override them. It just takes political will. But it's easier for cowardly, cuck politicians to punt and just, run for cover, stay in their cushy job, and let the judiciary make the decisions. But we're about at the end of that thread.
That's right. They're in such a bubble that they don't get that the mega tsunami, as you've called it, of liberty is here. They may hold it back for a while, but not for long. I mean, the law could not be clearer, and the president's purview could not be clearer.
I think that the liberal politicians and judges are playing checkers, and they just jumped 1 piece, and they're celebrating. They're all high-fiving. They don't realize they're playing 3D chess against Trump, and he's thought this out months and years ahead of them. But they've like little lobsters that just walked right into a lobster trap, and now they're chewing on the bait, and they think that they've really put one over on the man. But all they've done is swim right into Trump's trap. Anything now that happens, the next San Bernardino or Orlando is going to be laid right on their doorstep. That's Schumer, that's Pelosi, that's these federal judges. They won't
Absolutely.
be able to
What's wrong with them? Why don't they do what's popular and constitutional? Why are they committed to, that any idiot can tell playing checkers they're walking right into Trump's trap? I mean, Pelosi doesn't know that Trump's even president. She says Bush is. In the same press conference, Waters believes that Russia actually attacked Korea. I mean, these people are insane.
Why does the bull charge the matador because he's waving a flashy red blanket in front of him? The matador's got the sword behind that blanket every time. The matador wins 99% of the time. But the matador, or the bull can't help it. The bull sees the red bandera, whatever it's called, and it has to charge. This is the downfall of the Democrats. Their Trump hatred has blinded them to the long game. The next big act of terror, never mind another 9/11. The next San Bernardino or Orlando,
they own it. It will be their albatross.
They totally own it.
What about how he trolled them and got them to cover Islamic terror by pointing out they've been underreporting it? I mean, they don't seem to get it that they're not in an air superiority game anymore where they have a monopoly and nobody can counter them.
That's right, and it kind of reminds me in a kind of a perverse way. We're just finding out now that almost 2/3 of our Navy fighters can't fly. Are not mission capable. So we're in the kind of situation where we've always assumed air superiority, and we would go into World War III just like it was Dr. Strangelove back in the good old days. But we don't have that anymore. Well, the liberals, they think that they own the media air superiority. They haven't yet sussed onto the fact that they're in a new era. They're in the InfoWars Breitbart era. The mainstream media now just gets trolled, and they just actually are following the Democrats and the judges into the same trap. They're going to own Islamic terrorism. What Trump has done is really brilliant. He has put the Democrats, and I use a capital R with that, I call them the rats. He's put the Democrats in the same leaky boat with the Islamic terrorists. So they're now the same target in the same boat. Chuck Schumer is in the same boat with the next Omar Mateen. He doesn't know it yet.
So again, I'm going to ask you a question. You're a smart guy. I'm serious. What's wrong with them? They seem so arrogant, like they have some secret weapon, but studying history and other megalomaniacs, they're delusional. I think the Democratic Party, Soros leadership, is truly insane because they're in such cloistered bubbles. The Democrats have 3-to-1 money the Republicans have. They're really the rich, powerful KKK party that's always used race politics. I'm not saying all Democrats are bad, but let's just look at their history. The Republican leadership is just as cloistered, just as delusional, just as, ivory towered as they are. And I don't think they understand that they are basically dead already politically. I mean, what do you think's going on with them? I mean, who the hell thinks that Bush is still president and that Russia attacked Korea or that the Russians stole the election?
Delusions are extremely powerful. Brainwashing works. When you are in a cloistered thought bubble, you're kind of like the Japanese on some island in the Pacific. You can't come to grips with a new reality. You're going to be like the Japanese, running off the cliffs in Saipan because you just can't come to grips with the fact that the other side is actually winning now. And you've just got to, turn the page and wake up. They haven't turned the page. They can't turn the page. I have relatives even that I'm shocked. If you go to their Facebook page, it's "I hate my whiteness." It's like, wait, when were the Irish the oppressors of the world? That everything on the page is "I hate my own heritage. I hate capitalism. I hate my ethnicity." And if you don't hate it, then I hate you. If you don't hate your white privilege, then you're evil and deserve to die.
Well, we have a guest coming up that's gotten all the documents together. Can I have Rappaport's article from yesterday, guys? I forgot to bring it in here. I had it yesterday. That they actually want to create a bunch of basket cases and mental patients at the colleges because they know most of the degrees are going to be worthless in the future. And so this is actually a premeditated sabotage and a drug company move to try to put half the kids at least, or young men and women, on psychotropics. And that's why they're, quote, triggered, is they've turned the colleges into giant mental institutions.
Well, not only the colleges, the smartphone generation generally is addicted to electronic heroin. I mean, it is a powerful addiction. If you do put brains in the MRI, and you put the kid in the MRI and you yank away the smartphone, it's just as if you took a junkie's needle away from them and smashed it. They absolutely go into meltdown. What will happen in this country, God forbid the internet goes down, the grid goes down, without a little magic box to tell you which way to turn and what to think? They're incapable of normal life just out in the meat space, in the oxygen environment. What's going to happen anytime we're in a kind of a crisis where their little magic box is gone? We have literally raised an entire generation of electronic heroin addicts.
Look at 140 plus of the people that attack me and women and children in front of me trying to get into the Trump events, really nasty people. They've been indicted for rioting and assault and basically racketeering. But meanwhile, they've got Katy Perry and the media and the colleges teaching how to go out and put concrete inside, what looks like styrofoam tubes or paper tubes, so the police let you have it, and then they hit you over the head with it, and then you're going to end up getting indicted now, one day after Sessions gets in, and already they're being indicted. So the rule of law is coming back. They're already arresting pedophile networks all over the country. People better realize, folks, the reason the left is fighting so hard is they represent a lot of criminal underground groups, and they know their time is basically running out. Let's real quick go back to the President of the United States and his live press conference with the Japanese Prime Minister.
Daniel Halper, New York Post. Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm curious about yesterday's ruling in the Ninth Circuit Court. Has it caused you to rethink your use of executive power, and how will you respond, and will you sign new executive orders or perhaps a new travel ban?
Will you roll over to the totally illegal order of a joke court?
I'm curious about your reaction to America's withdrawal from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP. Do you think that's weakened America's position in Asia? And how do you envision any sort of trade deal with the president working out?
Well, your question was unrelated to what we're here for today, but I'll answer it. We are going to keep our country safe. We are going to do whatever is necessary to keep our country safe. We had a decision which we think we'll be very successful with. It shouldn't have taken this much time because safety is a primary reason. One of the reasons I'm standing here today is the security of our country. The voters felt that I would give it the best security. So we'll be doing something very rapidly having to do with additional security for our country. You'll be seeing that sometime next week. In addition, we will continue to go through the court process, and ultimately, I have no doubt that we'll win that particular case.
This is a press conference from the White House.
Now, in the world, we are also facing the issues of the refugees and terrorism. We need to work closely together on these global issues.
Japan will not let one Muslim in.
We have always played our own role. But going forward, we would continue to work with the international community.
They want to kill people for their views? You don't come in our country.
Execute our responsibility in a commensurate manner.
Amount of terrorism, zero.
And each of our country has immigration control scheme, as well as policy on immigration, as well as refugees. These are to do with domestic affairs of that country, so I would refrain from making any comments.
But you just said, we have it too. I mean, they have total control.
Blake Berman, Fox, Blake Berman.
Take a few more of these.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to pick up where Daniel left off, if you don't mind. You said earlier this week, and I'm quoting for you, you said, "I've learned a lot in the last 2 weeks, and terrorism is a far greater threat than the people of our country understand, but we're going to take care of it." Based off of what you have learned,
yeah, they took out a bunch of
now
sleeper
knowing
cells in the US,
your executive order is at least temporarily
shouldn't say
on
that.
hold, do you still feel as confident now as you have been at any point that you and the administration will be able to protect the homeland? And Mr. Prime Minister, thank you. I would just like to pick up.
Yeah, what happens when the jihadis attack again?
About TPP. Do you feel it's a mistake that the United States has at least signaled its intention to withdraw from the deal? Thank you both.
I feel totally confident that we will have tremendous security for the people of the United States. We will be extreme vetting, which is a term that I developed early in my campaign because I saw what was happening. And while I've been president, which is just for a very short period of time, I've learned tremendous things that you could only learn, frankly, if you were in a certain position, namely president. And there are tremendous threats to our country. We will not allow that to happen. I can tell you that right now. We will not allow that to happen. So we'll be going forward. We'll be doing things to continue to make our country safe. It will happen rapidly, and we will not allow people into our country who are looking to do harm to our people. We will allow lots of people into our country that will love our people and do good for our country.
He's letting Christians in now that have actually been persecuted. That's on InfoWars.com.
Administration, I can tell you that.
Trump opens border to Christians, refugees, but left ignores.
On TPP, of course, we are fully aware of President Trump's decision. On economic issues, we will be discussing at the working lunch to follow. As for Japan and the United States, trade and investment, as well as economic relations, how can we develop and grow our relationship? As I have already mentioned, Deputy Prime Minister Aso and Vice President Pence will create a new framework for dialogue. And
that's right. Okay, that's good. The United States has been in alliance with Japan. Japan's one of the only countries that's actually invested here and built factories all over the United States. More than Ford and other companies. There's like a whole bunch of their factories right here in Texas. And so that's good.
Yeah, the multilateral agreements are sucker deals for the U.S. Here we are, either the first or second most powerful economy in the world. When you join one of these, multi-dozen countries, Brunei plus Vietnam outvote us.
That's
the
right.
people that want to hook us into being one of 12 or 15 don't have our best interests. They know they can bribe their way. They can get Brunei's vote through bribery and corruption. So we really want to join groups where little pipsqueak countries like Vietnam and Brunei can outvote the United States.
Well,
of
sure,
America.
let's expand. We are the biggest economy. China's got all fraudulent stock market numbers. It's a paper tiger, a paper dragon. It's about to collapse. But we've been deindustrialized. We've got to build that back or we don't have a country. Closing comments on just the whole situation in the next minute, Matt Bracken.
Well, I think that Trump is thinking way ahead on this. He's very brilliantly maneuvered the Democrats into stampeding into this, what they think is a victory. It's going to be a very hollow victory for them because the first act of Islamic terrorism in this country, the Democrats own it 100%. And it's going to demolish them in 2018. It's going to also stiffen the backbones of Congress, Republican Congress, to put very strong constitutional conservative judges everywhere that they can. This has really stung Trump, I think, seeing just how radical these Ninth Circuit judges were. But it's going to have ramifications all throughout federal judiciary. They need to clean house, also the State Department, everywhere else.
It's crazy. They have no right under any 200 plus years. No courts have never acted like this. This is insane. The law is completely understandable.
This is 3 judges usurping the power of the president as commander in chief. They might as well move into the White House.
The answer to 1984 is 1776. And there's like a 6-minute video that's gone super viral that Milo put out, millions of views, of a black man in New York going up to the Shia LaBeouf video camera that got shut down now because of violence and saying the answer in 1984 is 1776. But you read the quotes of what he said, it's powerful. And the transcript's up on InfoWars.com. And he's sporting the shirt, which I designed 6-7 years ago, and it's not even one of our best sellers. It should be. It's one of my favorites. It says the answer in 1984 is 1776, and that explains it all. The answer to the 1984 society. And on the back it says InfoWars.com. A great shirt. And I want this gentleman to reach out to us. We'd like to get him on as a guest. So please, sir, show tips at InfoWars.com. Please contact us. We'd love to have you on the show and send you all the T-shirts you'd ever want. But, man, he tears them up. Now, he exposes the whole thing, but here's just part of where he, and the 2 liberals there can't even talk. They're not talking before he even shows up. So here it is.
I'm sick of this. He's not dividing us. This is propaganda. Edward Bernays, read the book, read it. Edward Bernays, propaganda. 101. I'm tired of it. I love America. You got that? I love America. And I appreciate opposite views. That's what this country's about. Opposite views. You want to live under totalitarian where they tell you how to think? This is not 1984. It's 1776. Worldwide. Get used to it. You Berkeley anarchists, you are scum. Just like Black Lives Matter. You got that? All lives matter.